Welcome back. We've been talking about the levers that shape culture. One is education. The second I want to talk about is worldview. Now, you may have heard that term over and over and over again. I know it's talked all the time about here on The Blaze, but worldview is essentially how you view the world, how it works according to your perspective. And one of the key things we need to understand is authority and responsibility. Who has all the power? Where does the authority rest? And with that authority, who's taking responsibility for making things happen so people are liberated, not enslaved? Well, one of the, bar none, best teachers of this was an old rabbi who is now someone who is listened to and worshipped by more people than anyone else on the planet. In ancient Israel, Jesus Christ was asked by some of the religious leaders, is it lawful for us to pay taxes to Caesar? Well, they tried to trap him, and his answer confounded them. He said, well, bring me a coin. Whose image is on the coin? And it was Caesar's. And what he said was, give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, but give to God the things that are God's. And what he was teaching was a profound principle of jurisdictional authority. That is, that the government has certain jurisdictions to impose authority, like areas of taxation, but other areas where it does not have authority. The question that ought to be asked is, where is God's image placed? Well, that's on us, right? We're made not in the state's image, but God's image. And our children, the area of the soul and of the mind, anything that has to do with our thoughts, our religious worship, our speech, should not be governed by the government. And unfortunately, in our nation, we've slid toward giving Caesar the things that are God's. And I want to demonstrate this a little bit more clearly with a diagram here. And I want you to see this. Here we've got the founder's view of authority and power and how it works. This is what they believed, and this is what led to the freedom and the blessing in our nation. You have God as the authority at the top, and He bestows jurisdiction to the individual and responsibility for the individual to govern himself under the eternal rules of right, to love and honor the Creator. And then He creates the institutions of the family, the church, and the state. And these are separate jurisdictions that should never encroach on one another, meaning the state should never stick its hand into the church and tell them what to preach from your pulpits. The church should never control the military. The family cannot tell any of these others what to do, neither can they tell them, and none of them trump the liberties of the individual who governs himself under God. And by the way, family is where the responsibility lies for education, health, and welfare. This is a parent-guided thing. Health. No one cares more about the health of my grandpa than his own family. And welfare, taking care of the needy and the poor. This is a responsibility of the family. And that's what our founders believed. Now, I want you to look at what tends to happen, and this is what's happening even in our nation, is that things devolve into a system where liberties are stripped away. And what happens, look at our diagram here. The state loves to insert itself and replace God with a state government. You notice the individual has been removed and demoted down here. And now you have a state that is now controlling both the family, the church, and the individual, and forcing them to conform to the ideas of the state. Very different from over here. The state also has taken over and wants to always take over education, health, and welfare, because when you take over these things, now the people become extremely dependent upon you. This ultimately leads to the state gradually consuming you, your family, your business, your religion, and your freedoms. That is not what we want. We want to go back to this over here, and this is your worldview. Can it be done? Yes, because under it all, there is the truth that good is stronger than evil, that life overcomes death, and faith is more powerful than doubt. You get these into your worldview and create the lens through which you look at the world, all of a sudden you've got hope. And you can wake up in the morning, whether you're blind or you have just buried a child, and you can still say, I smell victory.